Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You.
The world's been a regular visitor to our region the past few years, from the G20 summit to One Young World. This fall, it was the Remaking Cities Congress, 25 years to the year after the first Remaking Cities Conference, chaired by Britain's Prince Charles. Thought leaders on the future of the post-industrial city poured into Pittsburgh from across the country and around the world. The Prince didn't make the trip this time, but he did show up on video. Bruce Katz of the Brookings Institution was here to present. He challenged our region to challenge itself and build on the strong foundation that's been laid here over the past generation.
You've got great assets in this region. I mean, when I come to Pittsburgh, what I see is Carnegie Mellon, Pitt, UPitt Medical Center, in this very dense area. So you've got this concentration of advanced innovation assets, and companies want to be here because they want to be close to the advanced research, and particularly the advanced computer science and engineering research you have. This is the next economy in many respects, and if you do this well, it can lift many boats. Because you can begin to set up what we used to call SHOP, vocational education, career academies in the high schools to bring kids into really the next economy.
Don Carter's back with us today. He's director of the Remaking Cities Institute at Carnegie Mellon University and a prime mover behind the 25th Anniversary Congress. And good to see you.
Good morning, Bill. Great to be with you.
Yeah, and congratulations. Great event.
It was a great success. We've got a lot of accolades coming from the delegates who were here. Very good coverage in the international press.
Great. How many people showed up?
We invited 340 of specially invited top urbanists, and we ended up with about 306 who actually attended, all top people from both sides of the Atlantic.
Well, really exciting, and time, I guess, to have the conversation. Hard to believe it's been 25 years.
25 years. We certainly don't hope to do it another 25 years. We think we can do something much quicker. But it was very important that we asked Prince Charles to be the honorary chair again, because he was so committed the first time. And 25 years later, he has invested a lot of his own time and foundation money in similar situations as Pittsburgh, Youngstown, Detroit, Buffalo, in the Midlands, in Wales, in southern Scotland.
Well, 25 years ago, there was a lot of big question marks, not just about our region, but many other industrial cities in the United States in the middle of the devastating recession of the 1980s. How much has happened since then? How much has the world changed when it comes to thinking about cities?
The world has certainly changed, and what's interesting to me is that people are beating the door to Pittsburgh because over those 25 years, of all of the industrial cities that were collapsing in the mid-80s, whether it was in Europe, or in Detroit or Pittsburgh or Cleveland, Pittsburgh is the one that's considered kind of like the transformation poster child. How did Pittsburgh come out of its depth of losing hundreds of thousands of jobs in the 80s and come back now with having even more jobs and more wealth created? So Pittsburgh became a place that people were benchmarked. They would come from Europe. As you well know, they come from around the United States to ask questions. What did we do over the last 25 years that they could do?
Well, it's interesting. I heard one of the stats recently. Since the G20 4 years ago, we've had more than 50 international delegations come to Pittsburgh and more than 30 from across the United States. Many of them looking for the same answer. What is the secret? What do you think the secret's been?
Well, I think there was in the 80s there was a redefinition of what we are. And whether the Allegheny Conference was involved, obviously, but the universities and the city and the county said, we need to figure out what we really want to be. And at that point they realized basic industry was gone. What's left? And we had great universities and a medical center. Let's build on that. And we were early on in the kind of eds and meds thing, so we've built on that. We've invested in education. We've invested in quality of life. So when people come here, it's across the spectrum, the things are better. The environment's better. Educational attainment is higher. That doesn't mean we still don't have problems to deal with in terms of racial equity and deteriorated mill towns. Those things still are ahead of us, but generally we've done better than most people. And I would say that's why we continually get this most livable city designation, whether it's from Forbes magazine or or The Economist or Rand McNally.
It seems like, too, nowadays, and I think back compared to especially 30, 40, or 50 years ago, a lot more interest in thinking about these issues sort of from the ground up instead of from the top down, and really listen to the communities. Is that part of the story as well in terms of how cities are evolving and what's ahead?
Very good question, Bill. I think that came out of the Congress pretty strongly, not only from what Pittsburgh has been doing, but what's happening in other cities. For a long time, economic development and change was top down from elected officials or organizations like the Allegheny Conference. What we saw, especially in Pittsburgh in the 90s and up till now, is a bubbling up of initiatives from the communities, community development corporations, arts organizations, young people who were saying, this is kind of what we want. And they've come together because I think the people from on top were recognizing there's value here. So they were supported financially, they were supported symbolically. They're saying, we're listening to you too. And at the Congress, there was a lot of discussion about just that issue, is public engagement and listening to the people, and especially working with younger people and keeping them in your economy, because they're the ones that are risk takers, they're the entrepreneurs. That's where innovation is going to come.
I have only a few seconds left, but I wonder, so where do we go from here? Any lessons or aspirations or things we should be thinking about here in our region based on what you heard?
Well, I think what we heard from the delegates is do more of what you've already done, which is to have a regional vision, but also to work on quality of life issues. I know there's a lot of initiatives going on around creating neighborhoods that are walkable. I think we really have to solve the transit problem for Pittsburgh and have a dedicated funding system. Transit is going to be a very important thing over the next 25 years. That's very important to us. Investing in the education of our young people and dealing with some of the lingering issues of the social dynamics, whether it's the dying mill towns of the Mon Valley or the racial disparities we have in our own region.
The people and the places that have been left behind, got to bring them along. Absolutely.
And remember, you know, it was Richard Florida who did the basic research around the rise of the creative class right here in Pittsburgh. And he was one of our featured speakers, and he also talks about the fact that you need this combination of technology and talent and tolerance and technology and authenticity of place, which Pittsburgh has in spades.
All right, Don Carter from Carnegie Mellon Remaking Cities Congress. Once again, congratulations.
Right, thanks, Bill.
And we'll be back in a minute with little dollars and cents. Stay with us.